Universities in Bangladesh shut their doors and authorities raid opposition HQ after deadly protests. Dhaka, Bangladesh. Several major universities in Bangladesh shut their doors Wednesday or promised to, after at least 6 people died in violent campus protests over the allocation of government jobs, and police raided the headquarters of the main opposition party. After 2 days of clashes, the University Grants Commission urged all public and private universities to shut until further notice, and about a dozen major public universities said they would, according to officials and media reports. Among them was Dhaka University, which is at the center of the violence and decided to suspend classes and close its dormitories indefinitely. A university official told the Associated Press, speaking on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak to media. Wednesday was a public holiday in Bangladesh and the number of closures would become clearer on Thursday. Protesters are demanding an end to a quota system that reserves up to 30% of government jobs for family members of veterans who fought in Bangladesh's War of Independence in 1971. They argue the system is discriminatory and benefits supporters of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, whose Awami League party led the independence movement, and want it replaced with a merit-based one. Quotas were halted by a court order after mass student protests in 2018. But last month, Bangladesh's High Court nullified that decision, reinstating the system and triggering new demonstrations last month. While that court order has since been suspended, the protests have continued and turned violent this week. The clashes come months after Hasina maintained power in an election that was boycotted by opposition parties and saw opposition members jailed ahead of the polls. Authorities said that at least 6 people were killed on Tuesday in violence across the country as student protesters clashed with pro-government student activists and with police. Violence was reported around the capital, Dhaka, the southeastern city of Chattogram and the northern city of Rangpur. There were new clashes on Wednesday. Bangladesh's ruling party blamed the main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party for the chaos, and Dhaka police raided the party's headquarters overnight. Detective Chief Harun or Rashid told reporters that police had arrested 7 members of the party's student wing in connection with 2 buses that were set on fire Tuesday. He added that detectives found 100 crude bombs, 500 wooden and bamboo sticks, and 5 to 6 bottles of gasoline in the raid. Ruhul Kabir Rizvi, a senior BNP leader, accused the government of staging the raid to divert attention from protests. On Wednesday, police clashed with BNP supporters in Dhaka after a funeral for the 6 people who died a day earlier. Police official Sentu MIA said they used rubber bullets to disperse the opposition activists after they attacked police. And several opposition activists were arrested. Stray protests also took place at Dhaka University and elsewhere in the country. Police were deployed to the campus, while paramilitary border forces patrolled the streets of the capital and other big cities. A senior leader of the ruling Awami League party said the opposition was using the protests as a weapon against Hasina. Obaidul Quota, the Awami League's general secretary and a senior cabinet minister, said that evil forces have taken over the student movement, blaming the student wings of the BNP and rightist Jamaat-e-Islami party for Tuesday's violence. He urged the protesters to have patience until the country's Supreme Court hears petitions involving the quota issues next month. The protests began late last month but turned violent on Monday as protesters at Dhaka University clashed with police and counter-protesters organized by the student wing of the governing Awami League party, leaving 100 people injured. The quota system also reserves government jobs for women, people with disabilities and members of ethnic minorities.